top 1% aren't smarter than you. They're not more talented. They just don't think like losers. They don't hope. They execute. While you're praying for motivation, they're building empires. This is your wake-up call. If you want to join them, you must start thinking like them. No excuses, no mercy, just domination. Most people play not to lose. The top 1% play to win at all costs. Their mindset is wired for risk, action, and relentless pursuit of results. They don't think emotionally, they think strategically. In this video, I'll show you exactly how the elite think and how to rewire your mind to stop settling and start conquering. They obsess over outcomes, not effort. The top 1% understand a brutal truth that most people run from. Effort without results is meaningless. You don't get rich because you tried hard. You don't build a legacy because you gave it your best. The world doesn't pay you for effort. It pays you for outcomes. You can bleed for years in silence, but if you have nothing to show for it, you're just another ghost in the crowd. The elite don't find pride in how long they struggled. They find pride in what they conquered. That's why their focus is laser sharp. Their attention is on what's being built, not how much energy it takes to build it. Most people wear effort like a badge of honor. I worked 12 hours. I stayed up late. I sacrificed so much. But for what? What did you achieve? What was produced? That's what separates the 1% from everyone else. They don't confuse activity with progress. You can run on a treadmill all day and never move forward. But when your focus is outcomes, every action is calibrated, every step is strategic. It's not about how much you do, it's about what gets done. The 1% live by metrics. They track numbers, they evaluate performance, they analyze what works and what doesn't. And if something fails, they don't sit around crying about how hard they worked. They adjust, they refine, they execute again. They hold themselves to brutal, unforgiving standards because they know that the marketplace only rewards results. You think someone at the top got there because they tried really hard and hoped for the best? Oh, they engineered outcomes. They demanded excellence. They turned goals into non-negotiable realities. If you keep patting yourself on the back for effort alone, you're feeding the weak version of yourself. That soft voice that says, at least you tried, is the same voice that kills dreams. It comforts you just enough to stay stuck. And that's the difference. The top 1% aren't looking for comfort. They're looking for conquest. They don't settle for trying, they settle for winning. Outcomes are the scoreboard of life. You either deliver or you disappear. There is no participation trophy at the top. No one cares how many hours you put in if there's nothing to show for it. Stop using effort as an excuse. Start holding yourself accountable to the outcome. That's how the 1% think, that's how they operate, and that's how you need to think if you want to escape mediocrity and enter the realm of power, performance, and pure execution. They make fast, ruthless decisions because they understand one universal truth. Time is the most expensive currency. Every second you hesitate, someone else is moving, building, creating, executing. The top 1% don't sit around analyzing every variable to death. They don't need the stars to align or conditions to be perfect. They pull the trigger, make the move, and figure the rest out as they go. It's not recklessness, it's confidence backed by action. The average person waits for clarity to make a decision. The top 1% understand that clarity is created by decision. Movement creates feedback, action creates results. Even mistakes reveal direction. But standing still, that creates nothing but regret. While you're busy trying to make the perfect choice, they're already 5 steps ahead. And here's the brutal truth. They don't fear being wrong, they fear being stagnant. Wrong decisions can be corrected. Missed opportunities are often gone forever. That's why they'd rather decide fast, fail fast, and adapt faster, because speed beats perfection every single time. Most people are paralyzed by what-if scenarios. What if it fails? What if I look stupid? What if I lose money? The 1% flip the question, what if I don't act? What if I waste years in limbo? What if my dreams die in my comfort zone? They understand the cost of not acting is far greater than the risk of failure. That's what sets them apart. They move through fear, not around it. You think overthinking is wisdom. They know it's weakness in disguise. Endless analysis is nothing but procrastination with a fancy title. They don't need 100% certainty. They move on 70% and trust their ability to adjust on the battlefield. Business, life, relationships. They make decisions like warriors, focused, firm, and unfazed by outside noise. They trust themselves more than they trust the opinions of others. You want to win? Then you have to kill the habit of second-guessing everything. You have to stop negotiating with your gut. Make the call, send the pitch, launch the product, walk away from what no longer serves you. Take the damn leap. The longer you wait, the colder the trail gets. That fire you feel now will be a memory tomorrow. There's no prize for being the most careful. There's no medal for the most cautious. The top 1% get rewarded because they commit when others hesitate. They act while others talk. They decide while others doubt. That's the edge. That's the mindset. They treat every decision like a weapon, sharp, fast, and with no hesitation. The path to power is paved with bold moves. So stop playing small. Stop hiding behind logic. Stop mistaking fear for intuition. Decide, execute, adjust, repeat. That's how they win. That's how they dominate. If you want to join them, stop waiting for a sign and start being one. They see risk as a requirement, not an option, not a gamble, not a maybe. It's a toll you pay for greatness. You avoid risk because you're addicted to comfort, because you're afraid of looking stupid, because deep down you'd rather stay safe than be powerful. But the top 1%, they eat that fear, they swallow it and move forward anyway. They understand something most people never will. If there's no risk, there's no reward worth having. Every major breakthrough in business, in mindset, in life, it came from standing on the edge and jumping when everything in their body screamed no. That's the cost of admission to the top. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's guts. You're scared of failing? Good. That means you're standing in front of something that matters. The 1% don't wait until they're ready. They act, then figure it out. Ready is a myth. Perfect timing is a lie sold to weak minds. Waiting doesn't protect you. It paralyzes you. Look at the people you admire, the entrepreneurs, the leaders, the legends. Every single one of them made moves when the outcome was uncertain. They bet on themselves. They knew the game. If you play not to lose, you'll never win. They don't just tolerate risk, they expect it, they prepare for it, and they leverage it. That's the difference. That's the separation. You sit there telling yourself you'll take action when things settle down, when you have more money, more clarity, more support. That's a fantasy. Conditions will never be perfect. Life isn't waiting for your confidence, it's demanding your courage. The winners didn't become brave after they succeeded because they were brave. Understand this, safety is a cage. It's a coffin you decorate with excuses and call planning. But risk is the key that unlocks your future. And here's the truth that stings. If you're not willing to risk, you're not worthy of reward. The moment you step into the arena, truly, fully, knowing you might fall flat on your face is the moment you start separating yourself from the masses. You gain clarity through chaos. You grow strength through struggle. Playing it safe is the real danger, because you'll wake up one day buried in regret, wondering what could have happened if you just took the damn shot. You can't tiptoe your way into greatness. You can't think your way into winning. You have to leap. You have to walk straight into the fire and decide you're not coming out until you've built something legendary. And yes, it will be scary. Yes, you might lose. But here's the punchline. You're already losing by staying still. So stop waiting, stop overthinking, stop asking for guarantees. This isn't a rehearsal. Grow a pair and take the damn shot, because if you won't, someone else will. And they'll take what could have been yours. They kill emotion and embrace logic because they understand one brutal truth. Emotions lie, but logic exposes the path. The top 1% don't make decisions based on fear, anxiety, or even excitement. They don't let a bad mood derail a deal, and they don't let a good mood blind them to risk. They move like machines when it's time to decide. No shaking hands, no butterflies, no drama, just precision. Because at the top, there's no trophy for how you felt. There's only winning or losing, victory or regret. And feelings have no seat at that table. When you're ruled by emotion, you're in a cage, locked inside a prison of hesitation, insecurity, and comfort. You start asking the wrong questions. Do I feel ready? Am I motivated? What if it doesn't work out? The top 1% never ask those questions. They know feelings are fog, and fog is dangerous when you're moving fast. So they cut through it with logic, with data, with discipline. While the average person is still caught in their own emotional storm, the 1% have already made the move, signed the deal, or built the system. This doesn't mean they're heartless robots. It means they've trained themselves to think strategically before emotionally. They know when to put emotion to work and when to shove it aside. They don't avoid pain, they analyze it. They don't run from fear, they interrogate it. They flip emotions into fuel, but never let them steer the ship. Their actions aren't dictated by how they feel in the moment. They're driven by long-term vision anchored in reason. You want to know why most people stay stuck? Because they make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. They quit on a bad day. They pull back when they get scared. They take breaks when they feel tired instead of when the mission is done. And that's why they stay average, trapped in cycles of inconsistency and regret. But the top 1%, they set the mission and then remove emotion from the execution. It's not about feeling like it, it's about doing it regardless. This shift changes everything. When you kill emotion in your decision making and elevate logic, you become dangerous, unstoppable. You stop chasing highs and start building systems. You stop reacting and start leading. You make choices not to feel better in the moment, but to become better over time. Your life stops swinging on emotional highs and lows and starts compounding through intelligent, intentional action. You want to rise to the top? Then kill the voice in your head that says, I don't feel like it. Replace it with one question. What needs to be done? Train yourself to move with reason. Decide with clarity. Execute without hesitation. Because feelings don't build fortunes. Cold-blooded execution does. The top 1% don't feel their way to success. They think their way there and act like warriors. You want what they have? Start thinking like they do. They build mental fortresses because they know the world doesn't hand you anything, it tests you. The top 1% understand that life is not fair, business is brutal, and people will doubt you, betray you, and try to break you. That's not negativity, it's reality. And they embrace it. While the 99% are hoping for easier days, the elite are preparing for harder ones. They don't get softer when life gets tougher. They get sharper, harder, more relentless. They turn pain into armor. Every loss becomes a lesson. Every betrayal becomes a blade they sharpen, and every failure becomes a step in the staircase to dominance. You won't find them sulking or licking their wounds. They bleed, they bandage up, and they get back in the ring. Their mindset is unshakable because they've already made peace with suffering. Most people run from discomfort. The elite hunt it. Why? Because they know you don't grow in comfort. Comfort builds cowards. Pressure builds power. They seek the fire because they know the fire forges them. When others complain, they adapt. When others break down, they build up. Their mind isn't just resilient, it's a fortress with steel gates and no room for pity. You see, the difference isn't in talent or background, it's in response. The average person sees a setback as a sign to stop. The elite see it as a signal to rise. When life punches them in the face, they don't ask, why me? They say, try harder. And that mindset is trained. You don't just wake up bulletproof. You become it through war. Daily discipline, relentless self-talk, ruthless accountability. They don't wait for motivation. They command themselves like soldiers. No negotiations, no emotional debates, just mission-first thinking. Rejection, they love it. It sharpens their edge. Failure, they expect it. It forces them to evolve. Criticism, they use it. It helps them refine. Everything is fuel. Everything is data. Everything is preparation for the next level. That's why the top 1% keep rising, because they turn obstacles into opportunities and weakness into weapons. You throw a wall in front of them, they build a staircase. You try to bury them, they grow roots and rise stronger. If you're not building that kind of mental toughness, you're building a life full of excuses. That voice in your head that tells you to slow down, take it easy, stay safe, that's the voice of failure. Kill it. Replace it with standards so high, they terrify the old version of you. Mental fortresses aren't built when life is easy. They're built when you're drowning, bleeding, doubting, and still pushing. So the next time life hits, don't flinch, don't fold, don't retreat, fortify. Because if your mind is unbreakable, your results will be undeniable. You think about Friday night. They think about the next 50 years. That's the gap. That's the divide between the ones who win and the ones who wish. The top 1% don't waste time chasing the next hit of dopamine. They're not seduced by quick validation, cheap likes, or comfort. They're obsessed with the long game. They don't ask, what do I feel like doing today? They ask, what must I do now to become untouchable in 10 years? That's how killers think. That's how legacies are built. You're stuck in cycles of short-term gratification because you haven't decided to suffer now for greatness later. The top 1% aren't trying to survive Monday. They're building a life where they don't even notice what day it is. Because their mission consumes them. They understand something most people never grasp. Time is the most ruthless currency. They don't spend it, they invest it. Every action is part of a bigger picture. Every decision echoes through years, not minutes. They look at who they want to become at 40, 50, 60, and they reverse engineer that monster. The body, the money, the reputation, it's all planned. They are willing to sacrifice now to dominate later. That's why they don't care if you call them cold, obsessed, intense. They've already buried the version of themselves that cared what people think. They've killed comfort with discipline. They've chosen purpose over popularity. Because when you think in decades, you stop chasing applause and start building empires. Look around. Everyone wants the shortcut. They want results without endurance. They want riches with a TikTok attention span. And that's why most stay average. You will not build a dynasty with a weekend mindset. You will not become elite thinking month to month. You need to hardwire your brain for long-term warfare. You need to fall in love with boring consistency. You need to detach from emotions and attach to strategy. The top 1% wake up knowing what they do today may not pay off for years, but they do it anyway. That's what separates them from the crowd: delayed gratification and obsessive vision. So stop thinking like a peasant and start moving like a king. Ask yourself daily, is this choice aligned with the man or woman I want to become in 10 years? If not, burn it. If it feels good now but robs your future, kill it. If it's easy, it's probably useless. Your future self is begging you to think bigger, to think longer, to think beyond mood and into mission. When you think in decades, you stop panicking over losses and start stacking wins. You become patient with progress, but urgent with execution. You stop reacting to noise and start marching toward greatness. That's how the top 1% think. And if you don't start thinking like that now, you'll be buried under the legacy of those who did. You want to live like the top 1%? Then think like them, move like them, decide like them. The only thing standing between you and that level is your mindset. Kill the average voice in your head. Drown it in execution. You don't need permission. You need standards. Change your thinking, and you'll change your life.